Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jolene's Happy Time Craftcast. You guessed right, I am Joleen, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you are all having a wonderful summer day. Things are hot in Minnesota, and I know it's kind of stupid to complain about the weather. That said, it doesn't prevent me from doing it. I hate being hot, and I'm so hot. Maybe it's my age, maybe it's the humidity, maybe it's a combination of things. But if you are melting where you are in good company, and I'm right there with you, craving popsicles and sitting right in front of the air conditioner. That said, it doesn't keep us from the fun we're going to have today on the show. I'm really excited to welcome today's guest. Her name is Becky Campbell, and Becky is the founder of Sewforever, and she has been quilting for 30 years. And like many of us, she's been a crafter, a dabbler in other things. But once she started quilting, she found her lane and has now started a business where she teaches people not just English paper piecing, but also applique. Her techniques are beginner friendly and also appropriate for those folks who are more advanced. So if you are joining us live, I know you will do a really good job of welcoming Becky to the Happy Time Craftcast. Here she is, Becky Campbell, everyone. Hi, Becky.
Hello, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It looks like you are standing in front of perhaps one of your pieces.
Yes, this is an English paper piece quilt.
It's absolutely beautiful. It looks intimidating to someone like me who doesn't really know how to do that. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are we talking in difficulty?
It's really not difficult because normally with English paper piecing, you're going to do basting and whip stitching and pulling
Yes.
paper.
Yeah.
And so I created a product that removes all of that learning curve for you. So what they are they're self-stick templates, and they
Now,
come in a package like this.
wow.
And then you
Is
just
this your innovative applique product?
No, this is English paper piecing made
Okay.
easy.
Oh,
Sorry.
English paper piecing made easy. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they come on a sheet, and then you just cut them apart. I wish I could have them stamped out, but that
Oh, sure,
makes
like
it,
die cut.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's, you wouldn't be able to afford to buy them if that's it.
Of
So,
course.
so then you just cut them out and you stick them to the, let's see, wrong side of your fabric.
Yep.
And then you just sew grandmother's flower gardens or any kind of shape. It works for any kind of shape.
And are we stitching on top?
No, the stitching is, let's see, the
Yep, we
stitching
got you.
is, um, this one's hard to see. Um, they're machine stitched.
Okay.
So you just put the template here. Okay, so the template just goes
So
on the
we can
wrong
make
side.
flowers with
Yeah,
the template and it sticks on top of the fabric.
yeah. See, it just
Okay.
sticks to
Yep.
the,
Yep.
sticks to the fabric.
Yep.
And then let's see, I've got it on here. So this is a different shape, but
Okay.
it's on the
The
back
wrong,
of this.
yep, wrong
And
side.
and then I just take another shape and put right sides together.
Oh,
And you just need a template on one
one
side,
of them. Yep,
not the
that makes
other.
sense.
And then like some people are like hand stitching, and that's great. All
Yeah.
you would need to do would be to do a straight stitch along that template from corner to corner.
Oh, and then you can leave it in there and you don't have to pull it out.
No, then you do another piece on the other side, because
Yep.
you're going to always have like two sides to it, but it opens up. Then you put another fabric right
Yep.
sides together on, oh, that's wrong sides together, right sides
Yep.
together,
Yep. I follow.
and then
So,
stitch on
yep.
the along the
It makes
template
sense so far. Okay.
by hand or by machine.
Yep.
And then now I've got it, shapes added to each side. So
Yes.
then I just pull the template off.
Oh, because it's sticky.
right, and move it to the
Oh,
next shape that I want to add. And once you've um, added shapes to all sides,
yeah.
you just keep moving it out.
How
And
did you come up with this?
well, I started with I wanted to do English paper piecing,
Yes.
but I just couldn't. I just did not want to do the gluing, the basting, and the whip stitching. I can
Right.
do it,
Right.
but it takes forever.
Right.
And so I thought, oh, there has to be a better way.
Right.
And
Right.
I started with Post-it notes, but they weren't sticky enough.
Sure.
So I had to research and find a product that was heavyweight enough because
Sure. To
you
hold it.
you stick this on a piece of fabric,
Yep.
and so you stick it on a piece of fabric
Yep.
and you trim it at, it's hard to get this out.
That's okay. Oops. We lost her for a second. I think she was saying that you trim it at a specific angle. There you are.
Yeah, so you just trim it out, put it along the template, and
Yeah,
trim out with a rotary cutter.
of
And
course.
so you cut your shapes with the sticker. Then once you've cut your shapes, you just take your shapes
Oh.
and then you put them together. Sorry,
So
I should
you
have
cut, so
started
you
there.
cut and sew with the shape
Yes,
so that you are bypassing the traditional methods of English paper piecing.
absolutely. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
for example, like because this one was all the same color, I
Yeah.
could just cut, I could put a sticker on the fabric and I could cut 6 to 8 layers at a time and end up with these with enough shapes. Um,
So for people who are new to the quilting game,
mhm.
um, and my mom is a quilter, and this sounds like revolutionary in saving time and keeping all the pieces straight, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's what I say about it, that it's
Yeah,
revolutionary.
right. It's revolutionary. Okay.
And then the other thing I want to cover, because if people do English paper piecing,
Yeah.
one of the really fun parts about it is being able to focus cut things out of
Right.
fabric. And I can do that with the templates. And sometimes you want to match up like from one side to another. And
Yeah.
so I can get a perfect match. So I can sew them back together. And if you notice, these are two different color
Yeah.
uh,
It's
uh,
beautiful.
tea cups,
Yeah.
but
They
uh,
line up.
perfectly. Yes. And so the
That's
templates,
amazing.
I use those to cut the exact same shape over and over again.
Right. Okay. So you have been quilting for over 30 years and you've dabbled in some other mediums of textile work. It sounds like textile and needlework. So when you bump into people on the street and introduce yourself, what typically do you say? Like how do you tell this story?
Well, let's see. Most of the time, people don't ask women very often what we do, you
Right.
know.
Let's pretend they did.
Okay, so I would say that I I fell in love with quilting. I took uh, so many classes from so
Yeah.
many famous people, and I really wanted to be a part and have. I wanted to teach something
Sure.
like they did that they loved. Um, I'll back up how I got into business for a second,
Okay.
and I was at a Quilt Guild meeting in Ohio Historical Center, and they were showing us the old quilts. And
Yeah.
someone asked the question, "How do you store your quilts?" And they said, "Well, we fold them with tissue paper, and then we go
Hmm.
back periodically and refold them
Hmm.
so that they don't, get so trying to eliminate a crease in one place."
Right.
And I was sitting there and I was like, why are they folding quilts to begin with?
Hmm. Okay.
Why wouldn't they store the quilts rolled? And so I thought about that a lot and
Yeah.
went home and designed a quilt storage bag made out of tie back because
Oh,
it's
okay.
archival, breathable, whatever.
Sure.
And so for 15 years I made those and sold them. That's how I started my business.
So bags where you roll and store your quilts instead of folding and creasing your quilts is
Right.
how you got going in this biz. Okay.
Right. Yes. And so then tie back became so expensive. I couldn't make a bag that you could again afford
Sure.
to buy because it was with the housing stuff and cost and everything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't, I could no longer get it. But in the meantime, I had been, oh, I know. So I bought these patterns from somebody that I was in class with, and
Yeah.
they're table rounds and they're seasonal
Yeah.
and they were applique.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm going to have to learn how to applique because I
Yes.
didn't know how to applique. And my mind works like this. I took numerous applique classes like needle turn and freezer paper on the back and
Yes. Yes.
all kinds of classes, but it didn't work for me because the learning curve was so high that it
Yes.
was going to take me years to get as good as I wanted to get.
Well, and I think it's an intimidating art form, art and craft form. I think that those of us who take that one applique class or read the applique instructions in the book, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and take our toys and go home. I mean, I have freezer paper and I've tried, and I lack precision in the things that I do. So it kind of scared me away.
But you don't want to spend all that time working on something and it
Right.
not turn out well.
Exactly.
So I started thinking a lot about that, and it was like, how can I make this easier?
Right.
I don't want to. I don't like when you get a pattern. You're in order to create a placement guide so you know where everything goes on your background fabric.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I started, you had to trace everything out onto like a vinyl so you could see through it and then know where to place it. And it was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then you had to trace out all the pieces and parts
Yeah.
because
Sounds really complicated.
you needed them for the freezer paper that you were
Yeah.
going to use. Unless, yeah, I think you use freezer paper and needle turn too, just to cut
Yes.
the shapes out.
Yeah.
So what I did was figured out a way that I could create a placement guide.
Okay.
And this is just printed to perfect piecing, which is, it's a transparent sheet. And then I
Oh,
don't
okay.
have to, trace everything. And I can just pin this to my background fabric and open it up like a book. And then I know where all my pieces go.
And is this your innovative applique?
Yes, this is
Okay.
innovative applique.
Oh my goodness.
And there's some more steps. So
Right.
when I
Right.
created these patterns, I was like, I don't understand. Like if I take this, I'm
Yep.
going to end up destroying so much of this,
Right. Of course.
cutting these shapes out. So I separate the shapes for you.
Oh, kind of like you're making layers, so you know, okay, that makes sense. And then you
Well,
put
so
it,
that you can cut them out
yep,
individually and your original pattern isn't destroyed. And
right.
then this gets printed to freezer paper sheets because sheets are heavier weight and
Yep.
go through the printer better. And then you can see the dashed lines represent that this lays underneath something. So
Okay.
you don't need to turn that because you're going to sew over top.
So the technique, Becky, does it only work then with your patterns so that you get no, okay.
So I have an online class, an on-demand class,
Yeah.
and I show you how to, any pattern you have,
Ah, you can do this.
you can do that. You might have to make a couple copies of your pattern, so
Right.
because one of them you are going to cut apart.
Right.
But you can see on here, this one has the dashed lines in it, and
Wow.
it is the placement guide. So you would just copy this a couple times and separate your parts.
Makes perfect sense. So this feels like it's making applique just like with paper piecing so much more accessible,
Right. And
especially for those of us who are novice or new to the art form.
right. And so what happens next is almost everybody that I know
Yeah.
puts freezer paper on the back.
Yeah.
And then, excuse me,
Uh-huh.
let's see, they put freezer paper on the back and turn the edge,
Yep. To get it under. Yep.
iron it over the freezer paper, whatever. Well, I burnt myself way too many times
Oh,
for
me
that.
too. Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find my piece that shows really well. Here we go. So what I do is I put iron freezer paper to the right side of my fabric.
Okay.
Okay. And then I cut out around that, like
Yep.
small,
Yep.
and then turn it over.
Yep.
And with Roxanne's glue
Yep.
and a seam ripper, because the seam ripper has a little flat
Yep.
edge
I'm
to
with you
it,
so far. Yeah.
the freezer paper holds the
Yep.
shape, and just the seam allowance turns down. So
Yes.
you get really good results
It's
to a shape
beautiful.
without having fraying, needle turning, and
Sure.
all of that.
Right. Right. So in the quilting that you do, would you say that you spend more time in the English paper piecing space or more in the applique? Like, which of the techniques do you prefer?
Um, I can't separate them. That would be like choosing
Ah,
my favorite child.
understood. Okay.
I love both of them equally well. Um,
I love
but
that.
one more step to this,
Yeah.
because it's I think it's pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
when I have my shapes separated, like I showed you
Yes.
for the freezer paper,
Hmm.
I also copy that to uh, uh, an adhesive that goes
Yep.
through the printer, and then I iron that to a piece of batting,
Oh,
and then I cut these shapes out. And this is an easy trapunto effect. Normal trapunto, you have to slit the back of your work and
yes.
stuff in
Yep. The
um,
batting.
batting. I
Yep.
don't know how you get a flat. I don't know how you get it flat. So because it's an adhesive,
Yep.
so the one side is adhesive, and you just iron it. You can see your stitch lines, and you put that little shape there,
Yeah.
iron it in place one at a time, and then it creates dimension. This one has, so it's trapunto made really easy. I don't know if I can get, yeah, you can see how it fills up the
It's
uh
beautiful. For those of you listening,
flower.
it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful with the dimension and the texture and the way that it pops off the back of the backing
Background.
piece, the background. Yeah, it looks
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
And you choose such a vibrant color palette. It looks beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So Becky, what are you working on right now? Like what's on your work table?
Well, I really want to show this, because this has
Okay.
been, but I have to walk over here for 1 second to grab
Okay.
it. Okay.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that,
Okay.
I'll talk a little bit about what is on my work table.
Okay.
So for a while, you've probably heard me talking about my money roll piece, and I got that done. And I revealed that it weighs 106 pounds. I haven't gotten to the part where I need to count all the pieces, and we're just going to count one section and then do some math. And of course, I'm not going to do that. Darren will take care of that. And then I was working on another tree of life for my mom, and that is so, so close to being done. And now I am working on two of my feathered heart pieces. I usually don't like people come to our bed and breakfast and they ask if my, art is for sale. And I always say no. And the reason I say no is I just don't have enough time to make another piece that would, go in that place. So I say no. Um, and then they walk away and I'm kind of like, I wonder if I should have said yes, but I don't always have time. Anyway, I had a couple of folks here asking if I take commissions. And for the first time, I said yes. And I was really excited with their response. They were really excited with what I'm going to do. And so I will be making 3 of my feathered hearts for other people. So that was a first for me. saying yes instead of saying no. And it obviously wasn't the art right off my walls. I'm going to be making something similar for them. But that's what is on my work table. I will be creating 3 of my feathered hearts, which are cut from magazine paper. And then mounted to a pretty large frame that is covered in batting and fabric, and then also has some foam core in it so that it's 3-dimensional. So that's what I'm working on right now. And once I get those done, I am going to be working on, I've had this in my mind, and it's one of those things that's like it's an itch I keep scratching, and I have to do it because I can't stop thinking about it. But in one of our guest rooms here at our bed and breakfast, we have an exposed like wall over the stairs. And so like it almost looks like a slide. It's like I think perhaps the previous owners thought they might use it for storage, but it's not real cute. So what we did is we painted it black. So the walls are white and this little cove is black. And I'm cutting books on my bandsaw into circles. And so that when you open up the circle, it's 3-dimensional and it's going to look like little planets hanging in this black area. So in this one room in our bed and breakfast, it's going to have this cool hanging planetary area. But that's after the commissions. And these circle books cut into circles and then opened up and suspended in the sky is my craft club kit for July. So I'll put all of that in my show notes. But we're really excited about this process of taking these discarded books, cutting them into a circle on my bandsaw, and then when you open it up at the spine, you get a 3-dimensional, really cool piece of art. So that's what I've been working on. So Becky, what did you run to get? What can you tell us about?
Let's see. So this is Tula Pink's Queen of Diamonds, and this is all English. Well, it was the blocks are English paper piece.
Yes.
And they're focus cut, so you can see. So this is, let's see there, like how you can cut out specific parts of the fabric and put them together. And I machine piece this all.
Wow.
Most everyone else is doing the whip stitching.
Right.
And the group that I did this with, I'm trying to find something else that, because I have it kind of folded up. Oh, there's this one's good. The owl
looks amazing.
All those things, and so they're still working on theirs, and I've been done for like a month and a half. And so that's the project that kind of just got finished. And
so take me through what of your techniques did you use on this one?
I used the stickers.
Okay.
I bought it came as a kit from Pink Door Fabrics.
Okay.
And so this is the Queen of Diamonds. And you could buy templates, like the acrylic templates.
Yes.
Or you could buy the paper templates.
Yes.
So I bought the paper templates because these shapes are like, they're crazy shapes. They're not
they're beautiful.
A 1-inch hexagon. And so what I did was I traced those shapes because I have a package of stickers that are blank sheets. Yeah. So that if I don't have a template that you want, you can create
just get the blank sticker sheet.
So I traced
I
traced out those templates and then used my like what I showed you.
Yep, your process.
Sticker on the wrong side, sewed all around, and it worked wonderfully.
So would you say that in like the quilting game and with folks in your circle, like do they approach applique after and English paper piecing after a while, like with less dread than you do in the beginning when you learn some of the techniques that you were talking about? Like, does it get easier?
Oh,
you're done a month and a half before everyone else, I suppose. Yeah,
it's night and day. I mean, when I first started teaching innovative applique, I had a person that like I was working in the quilt shop, and I had a person who said, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just a brand new quilter. Right. And she took my class and said, I have it on my website as to her what she said. She could not
Oh,
believe that she was capable of doing that,
right.
because the techniques just make it so precise, and
Yes.
you get your results. You're
Right.
not like the simplicity of what you have to follow along just
Hmm.
makes it work so well.
Well, I am very intrigued by your problem solving skills and how you have taken, this really complicated, overwhelming ask, right, in the world of quilting and turned it into something so much more accessible, especially to beginners and, you know, early, early moderates, I would say. So, in your 30 years of experience being a quilter, have you had any of those like mishaps that we hear so much about, like rotary cutters and like cutting off bindings and things like that?
Yes, I will say that. Let's see, I got to get this.
Yep.
This rotary cutter is the best
Can you tell the
because
brand and we'll link it in the show notes?
because
Oh, as soon as you let go, it retracts.
yes, because otherwise
Right.
my rotary cutter is laying on my table and
Yes.
I'm like swishing around looking for something,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
can bang into it. This doesn't happen, and it can lock. Most people know that, but it
Right.
has a lock. So yes, but I have a quilt that I made like a long, long, long time ago, and
Yes.
the I was trimming the binding or something, and part of what I had done had gotten underneath that
Oh,
the piece part,
no.
and I cut it off. But I managed to repair it. So
Right, of course you did, because you're a good problem solver. Absolutely.
yeah.
So, my very first quilting class I took, I lived in Maryland and I went with a friend and we sat down to start cutting, and bless her heart, her very first whoosh with her rotary cutter and her acrylic ruler, she went right into her hand, and she had to leave like right away, and wasn't able to come back. And since that time, and as I said, my mom is an avid quilter and she's very good, and um, she works in a world more precise than me. But I am terrified of that thing, and I've developed a pretty good habit of, like, I have the one that you push with a button and it locks. And so it's almost like Pavlovian. Once I hear the snap sound and I know that the blade is retracted,
Yeah.
I know that I am safe. But I think that, like, everyone who works with a rotary cutter has a story like this, don't you?
Right. And um some other I'm are we running close on time?
No,
Some
you're good.
other notions is this ruler. Can you see this right here? It's
Yeah.
a guard and it sticks on my ruler, and so
Oh, no
what
way. I didn't know about that.
it's an Olfa product, or
Yeah.
OLIPFA. It's hard to find.
Okay.
Most people don't carry it, but I got it on Amazon, and so
Okay.
this makes me feel
That's
this makes
okay. Hi,
this
little
makes me
person in the
feel
corner.
so much more safe. And
That
then
is
there's
so
I
smart.
don't know
I
what
did
they're
not know
called,
that was a thing.
but there's these little there's this little sticky stuff on the back. It's not
Yeah.
sticky, but it sticks to my ruler like that.
Yep.
And so it prevents my ruler from sliding around.
Right. Are getting you right in the hand.
Right. So
Right. Well,
the,
we'll find that, Becky. We'll find that and we will attach it in our show notes. That's absolutely genius.
and
Um, I was this past month in June, for my craft club. I'm really into sustainable, recyclable materials, and I use almost all. I hate to say garbage, and my friends are always correcting me, but like, I use discarded goods in my artwork and as my medium. So if it's not books, lately it's become fabric and textiles, because I'm sure you are aware, lots and lots of fabric ends up in our landfills. And so I like to think of something to do with it when it's discarded. So this past month for my craft club, we did fabric books, and I did a tab and slot binding. So they were no sew. So of the pieces, some had a 4-inch cut in the middle. That would be the slot. And the other pages had 2-inch tabs on either end so that you could put your pages together. But what was remarkable to me is that I have a good friend who is an interior designer, and these were from their swatch books that they have to get rid of because they get new swatch books every year. And I had about 300 pounds worth of fabric that I was able to turn into books for my craft club. So I'm just wondering, like, what do you do with your pieces and parts? Do you have a solution for your waste?
Well, I guess I don't feel like I have much waste
I
because
bet not.
the English paper piecing can be a great way to use up really small pieces of
Yes.
fabric. Um,
Hmm. So do you have
so
a system for keeping your stash then? Because I would imagine you end up with some pretty small fragments.
yeah, I have an incredible system for keeping my
I bet you
fabric.
do, because you are a good problem
Uh,
solver. That tracks. That
um,
absolutely tracks.
all my fabric is in, let's see, I think they're container store bins with the
Yes.
wire racks that pull out.
Yep.
And then an IKEA has these little tubs.
Hmm.
So so that it's not just a bunch of fabric in there, and they're
Yeah.
all folded up the same size. So when I open up a drawer, I can see exactly what it is. I
Yeah.
used to stack them and then I'd have to take them out and
And
sort
you
through them.
can't see.
And
Yeah.
the scraps, the way I store the scraps are like the Sterlite, like
Hmm.
containers for shoes.
Yes.
So I am a fan of label makers. So they're labeled by color or
Right, of
multicolor
course.
or whatever. So I put my scraps in there and just store them like above a closet, like the shelves above the closet so you can
Yep.
just see them.
So it's visual, it sounds like, as well as organized by you can see it, you can read it, like you're hitting all the senses that you can, which makes really good sense.
Right.
So, Becky, where can our listeners find you?
Um, on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest.
All the
Uh,
places.
yeah. And then at my website, which is
Yep.
sewforever.com. And I have blog posts on there that talk about the English paper piecing and the innovative
Hmm.
applique. So you can, like,
Hmm.
if you're just listening, you can get a better visual because there's pictures and
Sure.
everything in there.
And you have a course too, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And you can always email me
Okay.
and ask about that course because one of my goals is it's out there and it works. It's
Yeah.
just getting people to it. So
Sure,
I
of
can
course.
I can get you to it if you're interested. So
Well,
it's
and we will link all of this in our show notes, and we will make sure we leave all the breadcrumbs so that folks can find you. I certainly have learned so much today. And I mean, really, so many congratulations to you for being so innovative and for, tackling what is a very tricky problem for a lot of us. And it can be overwhelming and we don't even try. But by the way you've described it, it feels so much more accessible than it's ever felt for me before,
right.
especially since I'm not real precise in my work.
Right. One other thing I wanted to add that was
Yeah.
really important to me was that um, not like as we get older, our hands kind of fail us sometimes, and so I
Dexterity.
wanted people to be able to continue to do something like this
Yeah.
without if their hands weren't going to cooperate with them. So
Right.
that was an important part of making it more accessible.
Right. Well, I can't wait to give it a try, and I really appreciate learning it. And, here on the Happy Time Craftcast, one of the things that we do is we ask our guests the same sets of questions at the end, and we're already to that time. So you
Okay.
can elaborate, or you can just give one word answers. It's completely up to you. But we'll start with Becky. What is your favorite word?
Creating.
Oh, I love that. And if I may, how often are you in your studio or workshop, like making and creating?
Um, every day that I can be here, I'm
Yeah,
here. The only thing that gets in the way is that I'm also running a business, so the
sure.
business part takes up a lot. But
Mhm.
um, as much as I possibly can.
Right. You feel called,
Oh yeah.
drawn. I relate to all of that. So then what would you say is your least favorite word?
hate.
I would agree with you there, especially raising children and grandchildren, right? That's not my favorite word either. What is the best kind of sandwich?
Chicken salad or tuna
Ooh,
fish.
nice, nice. A special bread, any bread?
Oh, Dave's.
Killer bread.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
I like the thin slice and the good seed one,
Yes,
the
yes, we
yellow
are we are
packet.
fans of that as well. When this question comes up, I usually say ice cream sandwich is the best sandwich.
Oh,
Um, but I heard Stephen Colbert say that, so I totally stole that from him, but he wasn't wrong. He wasn't
right.
wrong. So what does being an artist mean to you?
I'm so grateful that God gave me the the wherewithal, the drive, the desire to make things,
Yeah,
and that was passed on from my parents. But it it means the world because it gives my soul so much purpose.
I agree with you. I agree with you. For the longest time, I've been trying to find like some research on the why. Like, why are some of us like this, and why are we drawn, compelled, called, driven? Like for me, sometimes it almost feels like a little bit of insanity, in that I am the happiest when I am making and creating. I feel the most alive when I am making and creating. And it's kind of like the challenge for me is, how do I scratch the itch and take care of all of my responsibilities as well? So I haven't found it. I haven't found like the answer to why, but I know that I'm in a very good club, that I'm not the only one here.
Right.
It sounds like you're a card carrying member as well.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So, what sound or noise do you love?
Let's see. Um, I like music, but
Yep.
I don't listen to it very often because uh, I like the silence to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to concentrate.
Yeah, I don't hear people say that very often. That makes sense though. I mean, sometimes I too am overstimulated by too much background noise. We have 4 children, and one of them texts with the text sound on. Like, what kind of crazy person does that? So all you hear is the click, 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 really fast. And I
Yeah.
scold this child every time it happens, Jackson, and I want him to stop. But I don't know, he loves that sound. It makes me absolutely crazy. Oh, which I jump ahead, which is, the sound or noise I hate, which is that texting sound that my child makes.
Um. Oh, like a big bang and not
Oh,
knowing where
sure.
it comes from. With
Yeah, like,
everything that's happening, that those scare me.
yeah. I agree with you there. I don't like that either. I'm pretty jumpy. Any little something and I will get
Yeah.
all I get all nervous. In fact, I was listening to I'm a big audiobook person, and I got this recommendation. I can't remember where it came from, and I'm learning that sometimes you need to take book recommendations with a little bit of a grain of salt, or like kind of consider the source. And this was classified as a thriller, but it was really, really scary.
Hmm.
And I was home alone, and one of my jobs was to move the laundry. But there's no way I was going down in that Pennywise infested basement to move the laundry from the washer to the dryer when I was listening to this super scary audiobook. So I relate. Sounds, spooky innuendo. Like, no, I'm not doing any of those things.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Like, if you had to do it all over again, would you choose something different?
Well, I did interior design freelance for a while, but if I didn't even know they were interior designers when I was in school,
Sure.
so I would have uh, liked to have chosen that route.
Yeah.
Once again, it's the fabric, the color, all of that is what
Yeah. All
I
the
love.
things, all the
Hmm.
things coming together. Um, I always say welder. Like as an artist, like I would love to use a medium that like you can make really cool stuff out of. And every time I say that, friends and family raise their hands and remind me just how accident prone I am. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to try. I would still like to try because I want to
Right.
build art out of it. So what profession would you not like to do?
The hard ones that
Yeah.
people do that work outside in awful heat or
Yep.
have to the
Stinky.
garbage,
Yep.
all that
Stinky,
stuff.
smelly. Yeah. All of those things. I'm totally with you. I don't want to do any of those things. I'm so grateful to the people that do. Like
Oh.
one of our kids likes to be outside and I admire it. I'm just too fragile.
Mhm.
So finally then, Becky, what brings you the most happiness?
Well, I feel like that I need to say family.
Right.
But
And
and and and creating
yeah.
and and thinking through processes and thinking
Hmm.
and coming up with, oh, this could be a really good idea.
Right.
That's really what makes me excited.
Right. Ingenuity. And it sounds like creative solutions to complex problems is kind of your sweet space.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
Yes.
Um, for me, it's, creating, of course. And like you, I feel like, yeah, my family, of course. And what I love the most is, also being able to share this life that we've built here at Big Raven Farm with other people. Because you just don't have a property or a life like this, or at least we don't, and not share it. So I love being able to share it. So yeah, all those things are nice and happy and lovely. So again, Becky, thank you so
Oh,
much for being on the show today. And for those of you listening, we will definitely link in the show notes all of the places and spaces where you can find Becky and her products and her courses and even the tools that she talked about today. I will make sure those are something that you can find. Becky, thank you. Once again, it's
oh,
been a great Happy Time Craftcast, and I appreciate you being here.
thank you so much for having me. I really
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
It's
My
been fun.
pleasure. Don't be a stranger. We'll see you next time.
All right.
All
Bye.
right. And for those of you who are still with me, I just have a few announcements about the things that are going on here at Big Raven Farm. And if you've got any questions for me, you can go ahead and plop those in the comments. In our lineup of retreats here yet in 2024, we have coming up Pick Your Own Projects. And at our Pick Your Own Projects retreat, you go through a great big list of my projects. And when you come on Thursday, you let me know what they are, maybe in advance too. And then by Sunday, you'll hopefully have 3, 4, 2 done. It just really depends upon how quickly you work and how much stress you want to be under. But we have Pick Your Own Projects in July, August, September, and October. There's one a month for those 4 months. And then also in October, we have Art for Self-Care. And I'm collaborating with my friend Molly. She's amazing. And at the Art for Self-Care retreat, we're going to be doing all kinds of fabulous techniques. We're going to be doing jelly plate printing, cyanotype printing or sun prints. We're also going to be doing some eco dyeing. And then the fourth one that we're going to be doing is, I believe, watercolor and mark making. So jelly print, cyanotype, eco dyeing. We'll be making journals, of course, and then also some watercolor. That is an amazing retreat. It's in October, October 10th, I believe. I will be sure to link all of that in our show notes as well. That one sells out. So if you are interested in coming to the Art for Self-Care, you might not want to dilly-dally on that one because it's a pretty popular retreat. In the notes, here in the comments, my mom, hey mom, thanks for being a helper. The Grace Company has an ergonomic, air, ERGON. How do you say that word? Ergonomic, rotary cutter, and has a matching ruler that has a track that the roller fits into and makes your cuts more accurate. You can buy from the Grace Company on Amazon. Well, thank you, Mom. Thank you for being my right hand today. I appreciate that. Excited to see some of you in the comments who are coming to retreats soon. I will, of course, be sure to link all of those things in our show notes. And if you are interested in joining our craft club, last month was our salvage samples fabric book. And this month we're going to be doing books cut into circles to make hanging mobiles. Very cool indeed. So, and next time on the Happy Time Craftcast, I'm going to be very excited to welcome Christine Bono. And whoopsie, that's an old one. Christine will be with me July 10th. And we will be talking about quilting and quilting for beginners. So please make sure you mark your calendars and join us then. All right, everyone, if you've been watching, thank you. Lovely to see you. If you've been listening, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And we will see you next time on Jolene's Happy Time Craftcast. Bye, everybody. Happy making.